Kids sure do collect some strange stuff. Quite a few guys have asked me about my solar panel setup, and I had a video on YouTube of it before, but frankly it was pretty dodgy before my setup, because I just screwed the controller to a piece of wood and just threw it in the battery compartment, which was a bad idea because you get corrosion in there pretty easily. And in fact I killed 2 controllers because corrosion got in through the temperature sensor. When I opened it up, there was corrosion on the board. So I've made a few improvements, and I thought I'd show you guys again. Okay, the tide's getting really low at the moment. Was planning on moving the boat over there right in the real shallows, in case there's another blow during the week, because there was a bit of a blow during the week. And I'm always freaking out that it's going to drag out here, even as though I've got 18 metres of chain out in only 2 or 3 metres of water. But anyway, this is the panel. It's a 120 watt panel. This is 3/4 inch stainless tube that's been welded on here with stainless flat bar to hold the panel. And I had that up there for about 1.5 years, just like that. Worked fine, but yeah, I didn't do much trailering like that. I must admit, I think a couple of times short trips down the marina and stuff. But when we went away, I think once I took the panel off there. But since I beefed it up with this stainless bimini tube and fittings here, and that's worked well. I've trailered it hundreds of miles, and it's been there for what is that, 3 or 4 years or something, and all over the place, and not a problem at all. And of course the added benefit, I've got somewhere to stick my dink motor there. And at the time I did it, the only wire I could find was a 15 amp power lead in the shed, so I just cut the plugs off that and ran it down here. Now some guys put a inspection hatch here, and so they can get all the foam flotation out of there, because you can't just drill a hole and try and feed a wire down there. Not a hope, it just won't work, because there's all foam flotation. And in fact you can see what I've done down here, because I've got the wire from my GPS packed up there. So the hole's down the bottom, because you put a hole up here and you just can't feed the wire down because of all the foam in there. And so yeah, some guys do it that way. They cut an inspection hatch, get all the foam out, and they put a plug in there. That's probably the better way to do it, I guess. But yeah, mine's a bit more simple. I don't take the panel off. I mean, I did once or twice before I beefed up this, but otherwise the panel stays on there. So I didn't really need to worry about a plug anyway. I just run it through the boot down there, and then it runs through the bilge, if you want to call it that. And I've got 2 105 amp hour dual purpose batteries in here. I've got no starting battery. I just I've got other ways of starting it if I kill both of these batteries. I mean, the motor's even got a pull start anyway, so that's not really a problem. But these batteries are working very well. I'm very happy. The wires from the solar panel that run through there, and I just drilled a hole under there. There's a bit of a mess around here at the moment. Drilled a hole through there and just ran it up through the ladder. Bit of electrical conduit stuff there, and this is just a bit of scrap plywood out the shed. And this is one of those MPPT controllers, not very expensive, I think about $100 on eBay. Most of the cheap MPPT controllers are fake, so you've got to spend at least $80-100 I think to get a real one, and this is a real one. Right now it's overcast out there, so we're okay. I'll give you a bit of a demo on the MPPT's performance. There's not really, well, there's a tiny bit of sun poking its little rays through the cloud up there. So let's just push this MPPT demo button here. And we're getting 1.65 amps in at the moment, whereas if it was a PWM controller, we'd supposedly only be getting 1.32 amps in. Efficiency 25% extra. So that's about how it works out there. Usually I'm getting 1 or 2 amps extra than what I would have been with my PWM controller. So definitely worth spending a little bit extra to get a MPPT controller, I think. Yeah, I haven't had any problems since I put these two 105 amp hour dual purpose batteries in. The fridge, no worries, you can just run it at full power all the time. Usually I turn it to economy at night, but the batteries are just, except for I had one problem on my Clarence River cruise just after Christmas when the batteries, they were actually new then, and I drained them right down, which wasn't good. But the problem was that my fridge, the wire came loose for the fan in the fridge, so the fridge was constantly pulling 5 amps, and I didn't notice. It got really hot and it was just draining 5 amps constantly, whereas when it's cycling, when the fan's running, it's runs probably 2.5 amps, 15 20 minutes out of every hour, if that. So that was a big difference. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So the wire comes through here. Hang on. So the wires from the panel are coming down through the build, through here, through this little hole I've drilled here, and up into the ladder, straight up into this electrical conduit, and straight into the controller. And this is just a bit of plywood out of the shed to cover up the connections there. And that's a good spot to have it, because you don't get any salt water or anything getting in there. Whereas here in the battery compartment, you definitely do. Whenever the kids are running in and out of the boat, they've been swimming in salt water. It's just salt water dripping down here all the time onto this, and it just definitely ends up in here. So it was a stupid idea in the first place for me to just throw the controller in there, screwed to a piece of wood. That's what I did. In fact, that's what I did with 2 of them, because I'm so lazy, and killed 2 of them. They're only cheapies anyway. I think it probably cost $20-30. So yeah, I just learnt my lesson there, and definitely. There's finally a bit of sun poking through the clouds there, so I'll just do a bit of a demo with this MPPT controller. You just push this demo button here, and right now we're getting 3.37 amps in. If it was a PWM controller, 3.05 amps, so 11% more efficient than a PWM controller. I mean, I've seen much better figures than that on it. But anyway, it's definitely, this is more effective than the PWM controllers I had in before, because I had 2 of them and killed them both. And and definitely this is a much better place to put it than in the battery compartment. So yeah, I'm no electrician, obviously. It was a pretty simple setup, but it works fine. Keeps everything charged. Pretty happy with it. It seems to be just the right amount of power. 205 amp hour, 210 amp hours of batteries in there. For us, that's working out well. The kids can watch a movie or 2 at night, and we keep the fridge running, and we have the radio on whenever we like, and whatever else, and constantly charging cameras and tablets and phones and all that junk. And yeah, it seems to be enough power, 210 amp hours. One great benefit of owning a trailer sailor is if you're lucky enough to have a big backyard, you can keep it there and work on it whenever you like, play with it, admire it. You get just as much joy out of a boat playing with it as you do actually sailing it. But sometimes it's good to not keep the boat in the backyard and keep it out on the hook, I find. Like today, it's Sunday, house cleaning day. I was able to say to the missus this morning, yeah, I checked the weather and looks like there's a bit of a blow coming. Better get out there and check that anchor. I'll be back in 20 minutes. And it's now 5 to 2 in the afternoon. I'm still sitting there doing nothing. Absolutely brilliant.